I just finished the Resident Evil 4 remake and I absolutely loved it. So, if you don't know me, I'm a variety streamer on Twitch that goes by Shooper, and I recently just finished my first playthrough of the Resident Evil 4 remake. For some background, the games that I mostly like to play are Monster Hunter, FromSoft games like Dark Souls, Bloodborne, Sekiro, and also story rich games like God of War. This is only the second Resident Evil game I've ever played, the first one being Resident Evil Village, and obviously I've never played the original Resident Evil 4. I just wanted to make a video about what I liked about this game because I just had so much fun playing it and it was just such an enjoyable experience. I just needed to put all my thoughts down somewhere. So, the first and the biggest thing that I want to talk about is the combat of this game. The combat of this game is so good. It is just so much fun and it just feels so smooth. I don't have any issues of it feeling jarring or anything. And I really, really love the parry system of this game. So, like I said before, I love from soft games. I loved Sekiro, and after that, I just became obsessed with parrying in any game that I could parry in. So the fact that they had this, and for someone like me who's not really good at shooters, it was just so helpful, and it just made kind of a lot of sense. It just felt really good with the combat. But also, you could be so creative with the combat. So you don't just have to shoot these monsters. You don't have to just headshot them. You can do things like shoot them in the knees, in the foot, and they'll fall, and then you can go up and melee them. You can shoot the weapons that they have in their hands or the items that they're carrying. Like if they're carrying a piece of dynamite, you can shoot it and it'll blow up right in their face. I feel like you could just be so incredible. There's so many different ways to fight everything, and I definitely haven't figured out all the different ways you can fight all these monsters. That kind of ties into my next point with the detail of this game. There's just so much detail in this game, and it's just done so well. So again, so much detail in the combat with how you can fight things, what you can shoot, things like that. And it's kind of a given that there's just so much detail in the settings. These environments are just so beautiful to look at, and all the items, all the little things that you can observe or pick up, there's just so much detail built into it, and it's just so well done. It doesn't feel overwhelming. It just feels like there's something new you can discover with every playthrough. I also wanted to talk about how cinematic this game is. Of course, the cutscenes are great. They look fabulous. I played this on PC. I didn't have any technical issues with it. No lags, no stutters. Everything looked good. I also really like the voice acting too. I know there was some talk about the voice acting, but I enjoyed it thoroughly. But the cinematics in terms of just like the gameplay and the combat itself too. There are levels in this game where the enemy rush is like a time trial, but it doesn't really feel like that. It just feels like you are Leon and you're really immersed and you're really just trying to survive and fighting through all these enemies. And once you get to a certain point, it just flows into the cutscene or like the next part of the story. It doesn't feel like it's set up to be timed, and it's not like a very jarring experience. And I feel like that is just kind of hard to do because your immersion is never broken. I also really like the pacing of this game. So I completed it on standard mode in 16 hours, which compared to other games is very short. But I didn't really feel like the game was that short. I felt like it was just a good a good amount of game. I think it could have been a little longer, but that comes with the DLC as well. But I don't think it should have been any shorter or much longer than what it was. It was a short enough pace of a game where I constantly felt engaged, but I still got to know the characters even though I didn't play the previous Resident Evils. I still got to know the characters and I still got attached to them and their stories, and at the end of the game I really enjoyed the characters and kind of like just going through this journey with them. What I also think really helps with the pacing in this game are the different genres that are blended into it. So obviously it's really action packed, but there also are puzzles that are really enjoyable, which I think is in most Resident Evil games. Village was like that. I haven't played the previous one, so I'm assuming it was like that. But then there were times where you felt like you were really in a horror game. So I don't really feel like Resident Evil 4 was necessarily a horror game. It wasn't too scary for me, but there were levels where I felt a little spooked and got a little jump scared. And then they have like the mini game genre too, where you have that shooting mini game by the merchant, but then you're fighting, you're running from these monsters, and then you jump into a mining cart, and then you're doing this mining mini game that feels like Mario Kart where you're shooting monsters for extra points. It's just it blends so well. It doesn't feel jarring that you're jumping from genre to genre, but again, it just keeps you so engaged and it's just constantly like just so much fun being thrown different things at you when you're not expecting it. I also want to mention that I really ended up enjoying playing as Leon. I did not like Ethan at all in Resident Evil Village, so I was a little bit worried about playing as Leon. I was a little bit worried about if I would like him or not. Of course, I ended up loving him by the end of the game. He was just so corny and it was just so fun to play as him. He was so flashy. I'm just really glad that I didn't end up disliking him. But overall, all I can really say is that this game is just it's just really really fun and I get why people say it's one of the best, if not the best Resident Evil games. I don't know how this game compares to the original Resident Evil 4, but just as someone who came in not really knowing the Resident Evil series well, not really knowing the lore and only playing one other game in the series, I really really enjoyed it and I can see why everyone else does as well. There just hasn't been a game that I've played in so long where at the end of each level or fight or enemy rush, I was like, wow, that was so fun. Even if I had to redo an enemy rush multiple times, I never felt like frustrated that I had to redo it again. I feel like I would just discover new things, and this goes back to the combat that I would discover new ways of attacking these bosses or new routes to take to navigate through these enemies, and I felt more like rewarded at the end of that. I mean, that's just another given on the replayability of this game is just how many more details can you find when you replay this game. So if you haven't played this game, I would highly, highly recommend it. And even if you're not a fan of scary games or thriller games, I would say it's not that scary. Just play it on easy mode and maybe you can have a friend with you or, play it on stream or play it with the lights on. I just really think everyone who is even remotely interested should play this game. So let me know what you think, if you agreed or disagreed with my points in the video. I feel like I mentioned so many other things in my stream that I liked about this game, but I think I got the main points on this video. So if you want to talk more Resident Evil 4, feel free to hop into my stream. The link is in my bio. And if you made it this far, thank you so much for watching.